The old mining station on the edge of planet Virex 9 had been abandoned for years. Sandstorms had buried most of the buildings. Broken wires sparked in the air like dying fireflies. No one came here anymore, except scavengers. Jace was one of those scavengers. He wasn't a soldier, not a hero, just a human mechanic who fixed old machines and sold scrap to survive. That day, he was searching alone, carrying his old plasma torch and a half-working scanner. As he walked into a dark tunnel, under the wrecked tower, his scanner beeped softly. Something strange. Metal. But not old. New. He followed the signal deeper. Broken lights flickered above. Rusted doors lined the corridor. One door at the end looked different, thicker, reinforced. It had burn marks around the edges. Jace touched the control panel. Locked. He connected his torch and melted through the frame. The door fell with a loud crash. Smoke and heat burst out from inside. The room was dim, glowing red from old emergency lights. Steam hissed from vents. In the middle of the room stood something shocking. A cage made of fire-resistant steel, cracked and dented like something strong had tried to break out. Inside the cage, curled on the floor, was her. An alien woman. She had silver-blue skin, long white hair, and glowing violet eyes. Her body was covered in bruises and dirt, but even in this broken state she looked powerful, beautiful in a haunting way. Her hands were chained, her legs were wounded. But when she looked up at Jace, she didn't look afraid. She looked angry. "Are you human?" she asked, her voice hoarse but sharp. Jace nodded, stepping closer. The alien woman pushed herself up slowly. Her body shook, but her eyes never blinked. "They left me here," she said. "They feared me. They called me too, dangerous to sell, so they caged me like a beast." Jace felt a chill. "How long have you been in here?" 70 moons. Maybe more. Time lost meaning. She looked at him again, harder now. "Are you here to take me?" "No," Jace said quickly. "I didn't know this room existed, I'm scavenging." She laughed, but it was dry. "Scavenger, even better. I am nothing but scrap now." "No, you're not," he said, walking to the cage. The scanner on his wrist showed high levels of energy around her. Her body was overheating, but not from sickness. Something in her system was reacting. Fast heart rate, extreme strength. Yet she still breathed steadily. "Let me help you," Jace said, placing his hand on the cage's lock. "I can get you out." She stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly she moved forward, her chains clinking on the metal floor. "Why?" she asked. "You don't know me." Jace hesitated. He didn't have an answer. Something inside him just told him she didn't belong here. "I know wrong when I see it," he said finally. The woman lowered her head. Her voice was softer this time. "My name is Jara. I am a warrior of Clan Tarek, once proud, now destroyed. My sisters are dead. My planet is gone." He unlocked the cage. The door creaked open. Jara stepped out, slowly. Every step looked like pain, but she stood tall. She reached him, her eyes locked onto his. She spoke words that sent a shiver down Jace's spine. "My body is strong, human. I was bred for battle, for survival. I can give strong children. That is why they kept me alive." Jace's heart pounded. "I'm not here to use you." Jara placed a hand on his chest. "Then why free me?" He didn't answer. Behind them, the station's warning. Lights flickered. The lock on the outer gate had been triggered. Someone, or something, was coming. Jara's eyes narrowed. "They found me again." Jace grabbed her arm. "Come on, we need to move." They ran through the broken tunnels, light flashing behind them. Jara limped, but she didn't stop. Even wounded, her body was powerful. Her feet kicked through doors. Her hand crushed a metal handle. At the surface, Jace hit a button on his wrist. A small hoverbike rose from behind a sand pile. He jumped on and pulled her behind him. As the bike rose into the dust storm, red beams lit the sky behind them. Ships were descending. Someone was hunting her. Jace didn't know who or why. But as Jara leaned into him and whispered again, "I will not be caught again," he knew one thing. This was just the beginning. The desert winds howled as Jace's hoverbike flew across the dry land. The sky behind them was painted with fire, enemy ships searching the ruins. Jara held tightly to him, her body weak but her grip strong. They reached an old canyon, hidden by natural rock walls. Jace parked the bike under an overhang and helped Jara down gently. She collapsed to her knees, breathing hard. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark and her white hair stuck to her face. Jace pulled a water canister from his bag and offered it. Jara stared at it like she had forgotten what water was. "You're safe now," Jace said quietly. "No one is ever safe," she whispered, sipping slowly. "Not when they wear the mark." Jace frowned. "What mark?" Jara pulled her torn clothing to the side and turned her back to him. There, burned into her silver blue skin, was a brutal black brand, a ring of sharp teeth surrounding a human handprint. Jace gasped. "What is that?" "The mark of ownership," she said. "Given to those who are too rare to kill but too dangerous to free. It means I belong to the Earth Syndicate." Jace took a step back. He had heard of the Earth Syndicate, an illegal group that sold alien prisoners, especially females, to the black market. But he had never seen one of their victims up close. "They branded you like a thing," he said bitterly. Jara nodded. "My people were captured during the Battle of Orven. I was brought here for study, tested, bred, tortured. They wanted to see if I could bear mixed offspring, strong ones." Jace felt his fists clench. "That's sick." Jara looked at him, eyes softer now. "Then why are you helping me, Jace?" He paused. "Because you were left in a cage. Because you still fight. And because I would never leave someone behind." For a moment, her expression shifted, something like surprise or respect. She touched his hand. "Most humans don't care. They look at me and only see a tool, a weapon, or something worse." "I'm not most humans," he said firmly. A sound echoed in the canyon, metal wings slicing air. Jara stood quickly but stumbled. Her strength was fading fast. Jace pulled a cloak from his bike's bag and wrapped her in it. "We need shelter." There was an old mining shelter carved into the canyon wall. Jace had used it before. It was dusty, full of broken tools, but safe. He helped Jara inside and placed her on a bench. She leaned back, breathing deeply. "They'll track me, through my blood, my heat. I am not normal." "You're not a prisoner anymore," he said. "You're free." She smiled faintly. Freedom. Strange word. He sat beside her and checked her injuries. Her leg was swelling badly. Her wrists were bruised from the chains. "Let me treat this," he said. "I heal faster than you think," she replied. "But your touch is gentle." They sat in silence for a while. Jace could feel a question building inside him. "Jara, why did you say that earlier? About strong children?" She looked at him seriously. "Because that's what they wanted from me. My bloodline is from warrior queens. Our children are born for survival. When you opened my cage, I thought you might be another one of them. But I'm not." "No," she said, voice low. "You looked at me like I mattered." Her voice trembled, just for a moment. "I was proud once, strong, feared, but they broke me slowly, cutting away everything until I begged just to live. Now the only thing I have left is this body, and the hope that it still means something." Jace didn't know what to say, but he reached out and held her hand. She didn't pull away. Suddenly, a device on her wrist began to blink. Red. She stared at it, shocked. "No," she whispered. "What is it?" Jace asked. They activated the recovery beacon. "The Earth Syndicate knows I escaped. They'll send hunters now. Not machines, people. Jace stood. Then we run. No, she said. This time I fight, I'm done hiding. He looked at her. Weak, wounded, but fierce. You can't fight alone, he said. I won't, she replied, standing slowly. You helped me when no one else would. So now I ask, not as a captive, but as a warrior. Will you stand with me, Jace? He nodded, without hesitation. Good, she said, because the hunters will come at sunrise, and when they do, they'll learn what happens when you try to chain a queen. The mining shelter was quiet, but tension filled the air like a storm ready to break. Jara lay on the metal bench wrapped in Jace's old cloak. Her breathing was slow but strange, deeper, heavier. Drops of sweat formed on her forehead, even though the air was cold. Jace checked the scanner again. Her body temperature had climbed dangerously high, not from infection. Something inside her was changing. She opened her eyes, glowing brighter now. You shouldn't be this close, she said, voice husky. I'm not leaving you, Jace said. You're burning up. It's not sickness, she whispered. It's biology. Jace blinked. What do you mean? Jara sat up slowly, her hands shaking. Her pupils had turned narrow, like a predator's. My species. We were designed to survive. Our heat cycle begins when we feel safe. When our body senses a worthy mate, it's not something we control. She looked at him with a deep hunger, not just physical but emotional, like something wild was waking up inside her. I didn't expect it to happen, she said. Not here, not now. Jace stepped back unsure. You mean you're reacting to me? She nodded once. It's not just desire, she explained. It's a bond trigger. If I choose you now, my instincts will protect you, no matter the threat. Even death. Jace's heart pounded. Jara, we barely know each other. She stood shakily, towering just slightly over him. Her silver blue skin shimmered under the weak shelter light. True, she said. But when I was in that cage, you were the first soul who looked at me like I was alive. That matters more than time. Jace took a deep breath. I didn't save you to get anything. You don't owe me. I know, she interrupted gently. That's why my body chose you. Her voice dropped low. But I will not force a bond on a man who doesn't want it. Walk away now and I'll fight alone. Jace looked into her eyes. Behind the glow, behind the fire, he saw fear. The fear of rejection, of being unwanted again. He stepped forward and placed a hand on her cheek. I'm not walking away. Her breath caught. Just then, a sharp noise sliced through the air. The warning drone over the canyon had been triggered. Jara's head snapped toward the sound. They're here. Jace grabbed his toolkit and tossed her a plasma blade. Can you fight? She grinned, fire returning to her eyes. I was bred for it. Outside the shelter, shadows moved between the rocks. 3 humanoid figures in black armor approached silently. Syndicate hunters, Jace and Jara crouched behind cover. They're carrying stun cannons, Jace whispered. They want you alive. Then they'll be disappointed. She stood and moved like a shadow, silent but deadly. In seconds, she dropped the first hunter with a spinning kick. His head hit the canyon wall with a dull thud. Jace tackled the second one, using tools as weapons. He was no soldier, but desperation made him strong. The third hunter aimed his blaster at Jace's back, but before he could shoot, Jara roared. Her body glowed, muscles tense, and she charged with blinding speed. She tore the weapon away and threw the man over the ledge like he weighed nothing. Silence fell again. Jace gasped for air, falling to his knees. Jara rushed to him, touching his face, her heat now softer. I told you, she whispered. My instincts protect. He looked up at her, his chest heaving. You saved me. She leaned close, lips almost brushing his. I claimed you. For a moment, time froze. But behind them, the hunter Jara had kicked off the ledge climbed. Back up, blood running down his helmet. He raised a small red device, a signal beacon. Jara turned too late. He pressed the button. Above, several lights blinked in the sky. Ships. Dozens. They were coming. Too late, she growled. They called. The others. Jay stood beside her. We can't stay here. No, she agreed. But there's one place we can go where they can't follow. Where? Jara looked at him with a strange smile. My planet. The Syndicate ships were still minutes away, but Jara didn't waste a second. We must reach the launch pad, she said. There's an old transport hidden in the southern ridge. I buried it years ago, in case I ever escaped. Jace followed without question. They moved fast, crossing rocky ground under the fading light of Virex 9's twin moons. Jara's strength had returned, but something about her had changed. Her movements were more graceful now, more focused. Every step she took felt bonded, like she moved with Jace, not just beside him. I've never felt this before, she said suddenly as they walked. This connection. It's more than instinct. It's like your presence calms the fire inside me. Jace didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to being needed. Not like this. Finally, they reached a jagged cliffside. Jara knelt and swept away dust and stones, revealing a hidden access panel. Stay close, she said. A door hissed open in the rock. Inside was a small alien ship, half covered in sand but intact. Its design was sleek, organic-looking as if it had grown rather than been built. Jace whistled. That's not Syndicate tech. No, Jara replied. It's from my home. One of the last things I saved before capture. They climbed aboard. The ship responded to her touch. Soft lights came alive. The interior glowed with soft blue energy. Jace took the co-pilot seat, watching her hands dance over alien controls. Jara, your planet? He asked. You really think it's safe? No, she said simply. But there's something there I must recover. If I do, I can end this chase forever. What is it? She paused. Her eyes flicked toward him, hesitant. My blood crystal. It proves my royal bloodline. With it, I can activate ancient defense protocols. The Syndicate fears it more than me. Suddenly, a soft chime rang through the cockpit. Incoming signal. Unknown source. Jara stiffened. It's encrypted. One of theirs. She opened it anyway. A voice crackled to life. Male, calm, mocking. Jara, you're wasting time. That human will not save you. He doesn't even know what you are. Jace leaned forward. Who is this? Her past, the voice replied. Her mistake. Her betrayer. Jara cut the signal quickly, but her hands trembled. Jace stared at her. What's going on, Jara? She turned to him slowly. Her glow dimmed. I told you I was captured. That's only half true. She stood, walking to the back of the cockpit. I was a warrior, but also an envoy. I trusted a human officer. His name was Rail Thorn. He promised peace between our kind. He said I could help build it. I shared secrets, coordinates, defense paths. Her voice cracked. He used them to attack my people. I wasn't captured. I was traded. Jace stood. You didn't betray them. You were tricked. No, she said. I was foolish. My people think I betrayed them. If they see me with another human, they may strike us both down. Silence fell between them. Then Jace asked softly, Why didn't you tell me before? Jara looked at him with tear-bright eyes. Because you were the first one who looked at me and didn't see a traitor or a prize. He stepped closer and took her hand. I still don't. Suddenly the ship shook. Impact detected, the computer said. External breach, rear hatch. They both turned in alarm. Jace grabbed a tool, his only weapon. Jara picked up her plasma blade. They moved together toward the back of the ship. The hatch was open, and standing there was a human, not a Syndicate soldier. No armor, just a black coat and cold smile. It was Rail Thorn. "Well," he said, "you found a new hero, Jara. Does he know you offered to bear my child once too?" Jace froze. Jara stepped in front of him. "He's not you." "But he's human," Rail said. "You always fall for the same lie. This one will leave you too, or turn you in." Jace gritted his teeth. "I don't know what happened between you two, but I'm not like you." Rail raised a pistol. "Then prove it. Stand aside and let me take her. You walk away rich. No war, no blood." Jara looked at Jace. Her hand trembled. Jace stepped forward, and without a word, punched Rail in the face. The pistol clattered. Jara moved fast, disarming him and tossing him out the hatch. He landed hard, groaning. The door slammed shut. Jace turned to her, breathing hard. "I don't care what he said, I know who you are now. And I'm not going anywhere." Jara stared at him. Then, for the first time since he met her, she cried. Not from pain, but from release. She whispered, "Then I trust you, even if it kills me." They buried the enemy's body beneath desert stones before sunrise. Jara and Jace stood in silence for a moment. The desert wind was quiet. The sky was still dark, but the stars were fading. Morning was close, and with it, danger. Jara's ship was repaired and ready. But Jace's scanner flashed red. Multiple signals, fast-moving, dozens. "They're coming," he said. Jara's face hardened. "This is no scouting party. It's a full strike team," she nodded. "They want me back alive. You? Dead. Or forgotten." Jace looked at her. "Then let's make sure they regret trying." An hour later, the twin moons disappeared behind clouds, and dust storms picked up. Perfect cover, but also perfect chaos. The Syndicate hunters arrived like a shadow army, 6 drop ships, silent and black, touching down on the edge of the canyon. Each carried masked soldiers. Some were human, others were not. They fanned out, scanning for heat, tracking footsteps, checking for air scent. This time they weren't just looking for Jara. They were hunting a bonded pair. In the rocks above them, Jace and Jara watched from a ledge. "This is suicide," Jace whispered. "There's too many." Jara placed a hand on his shoulder. "You still have a choice. My ship is below. You can fly away while they chase me." Jace stared at her. "After everything?" he asked. "You think I'd run?" Jara's fingers curled around his. "I hoped you wouldn't." Then she gave him a device, a small round chip. "If we're caught," she said, "then press this. It will destroy my body. They cannot have my blood." Jace shook his head. "No, I'm not using this." "You must." "I won't." Before she could argue, the first attack came. Explosions shook the ground. 2 Syndicate hunters fired into the rocks, blasting the ledge where Jara and Jace had hidden. They jumped down. Jara landed hard and rolled into a sprint. Jace followed, ducking blasts. They ran through the canyon, zigzagging between stone pillars and fallen machinery. Jara turned, leaped, and tackled one hunter. Her fists moved like lightning. Jace ducked another attacker and jammed a metal rod into the man's armor. Sparks flew, but there were too many. They were surrounded. "Drop your weapons," a voice shouted from the shadows. A tall figure stepped forward, not masked. He was a general, older, cold eyes, human. "You're the mechanic," he said to Jace. "The one who touched our property." "She's not property," Jace growled. The general raised a weapon and aimed at Jara. "She's a genetic asset, nothing more. We've bred her kind for strength, speed, and heat response. You were just part of the test." Jace felt his stomach twist. "What did you say?" "You weren't random," the man said calmly. "You were selected. You passed by showing compassion, emotion. You activated her mating bond." Jara froze. "No," she whispered. "That's not true." "You think you escaped?" the general laughed. "You're still in the cage, girl. You've always been in it." Jara took a shaky step back. Jace looked at her, confused. She wasn't glowing. She was trembling. Everything, the rescue, the bond, the fire, it all felt like a setup now. But then Jara straightened. She looked at Jace and her voice was strong again. Even if they planned it. I chose you. Her glow returned. Her body tensed, and she turned on the general with a roar. The fight exploded. Jara slammed into the soldiers, her blade flashing. She moved like a storm, fierce and wild. Jace used tools as weapons again, smashing visors and cutting wires, but the general had one last trick. He pulled out a small cube, a neural bomb. It pulsed. Jara collapsed mid-swing, screaming. Jace ran to her, caught her in his arms. She's not yours, he shouted. She was never yours either, the general said. Jace stared at Jara. She was shaking. Her heart was slowing. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the chip she gave him. His finger hovered over the button. Don't, she whispered, her voice weak. Not yet. He looked up and saw a flash. A child, not human, stepped from behind the rocks. She had silver blue skin, glowing eyes, and a scar just like Jara's. The general turned. No, how did she? Jara's eyes opened wide. My daughter. The girl raised her hands. A strange hum filled the air. The neural bomb stopped. The general screamed. Jara stood again. And now she was not just a warrior. She was a mother. Jace could hardly believe what he was seeing. The little alien girl stood in the dust, her hands still, glowing with strange energy. She looked no older than 10, but her presence felt ancient, powerful, and full of pain. Silver blue skin, white hair, and glowing violet eyes, Jara's eyes. Jara knelt, tears streaming down her cheeks. My daughter, they told me you were gone. The girl ran to her, wrapping her arms tightly around her mother. Jara held her like she would never let go again. Jace stepped forward, stunned. Jara, she's yours? Jara nodded. Her name is Leary. She was taken from me the day I was branded. I thought she died in the labs. Leary looked up at Jace, her eyes calm but watchful. You're the human my mother bonded with? Jace blinked. Yes, I guess. Leary said nothing, but a faint smile tugged at her lips. She turned back to Jara. The clans have awakened. They felt your signal. But they don't trust humans. Jara's face turned serious. Then it's time. Time for what? Jace asked. Jara stood and took his hand. It is the way of my people, she said. If a royal warrior chooses a mate outside the bloodline, the bond must be tested. In fire, in pain, in truth. Jace's brow furrowed. A test? It's called the mating trial. You must survive it to stand beside me. Without it, the clans will never accept us. And they will kill you. On sight. Jace let out a slow breath. Sounds intense. Jara didn't smile. It's worse than it sounds. They flew across the desert in Jara's alien ship. Leary guided them to an ancient canyon, a sacred place once used by warrior queens. Towering statues of past leaders stood at each end, their eyes carved from glowing crystal. At the center was a wide circle of black stone, with ancient alien, runes etched deep into the ground. Jara's people were already waiting. They emerged from caves and hidden paths, tall, strong, armored in bone and crystal. Female warriors, guards, even elders with weapons carved from star rock. They looked at Jara, and then at Jace. The air grew cold. One elder stepped forward. Her voice was hard like steel. You bring a human to our sacred ground? Jara raised, her chin. I do. I have chosen him. Not for power, not for blood, but for what no one ever gave me. Honor. The elder spat on the ground. Then let the trial begin. Jace stood shirtless on the black stone. The ground vibrated beneath his feet. Strange energy moved through the air. Jara stood across from him, her expression full of conflict. You will face 3 tests, she said. Pain, instinct, heart. Okay, Jace said. Simple enough. It's not, she whispered. The first test began. Two alien warriors stepped forward holding rods of pure plasma. Without warning, they struck him. Jace fell to his knees, screaming. The pain was like fire tearing through his nerves. Jara turned away, trembling. He forced himself. Back up, blood dripping from his mouth. I'm not done, he growled. The second test followed. A predator beast, half machine, was released into the ring. Jace had no weapon. Jara's voice came through the echo. Use your instinct. The creature lunged. Jace dodged, using the environment. He grabbed a piece of crystal, slammed it into the beast's eye, and rolled under its claws. The crowd gasped. With a final push, Jace shoved the beast over the ledge, collapsing in the dust. Jara ran to him, but the elder raised her hand. One trial remains. Jara froze. The heart test? The elder nodded. This one is not for him, but for you, Jara. Suddenly, a hologram lit the sky. A vision of Jace back in the cage, bleeding, captured again. The illusion was so real, even Jace was confused. This is your test, the elder said. Will you save him knowing the world will burn? Or will you choose your people's future and let him die? Jara stepped forward, torn. Jace called out, Jara, it's not real. But the illusion showed him screaming in pain, crying her name. Jara fell to her knees. Then, she stood, with fire in her eyes. I choose both. She slammed her fist into the ground. Light burst from her body. The illusion shattered. The elder stood still for a long moment. Then slowly, she smiled. She has passed. He has passed. The bond is true. Jara ran to Jace, pulling him into her arms. You are more than a mate. You are my equal. Jace, battered and bruised, smiled up at her. You're kinda scary. But I'm lucky. Cheers rose from the alien warriors. Leary watched with quiet pride. But far above them, in the clouds, Syndicate warships were coming. The skies turned black as Syndicate warships broke through the clouds. Jara looked up, eyes burning with fury. They couldn't stop the bond, so now they want to wipe us out. Jace stood beside her, bruised, bloodied, but alive. His shirt was torn, his fists clenched. Then we don't run. We end this. The alien warriors around them roared in agreement. They now accepted him, not just as Jara's mate, but as one of their own. Leary, her daughter, stood between them. Mother, the old command site. It still works. The blood crystal can activate the planetary defense. Jara's eyes widened. You're sure? Leary nodded. The pulse will shut down all Syndicate tech in orbit, but it must be done manually and at the peak. Jara turned to Jace. The peak is deadly. It's steep, storm-covered. You climb it, you may not come back. Jace smiled, tired but bold. Then I'll climb faster. The final mission began. Jace, Jara, and Leary moved up the sacred mountain trail. The wind howled. Lightning cracked the sky. Syndicate ships circled above, preparing to fire on the ancient city below. At the top stood the Temple of Core Fire, a crystal structure older than Jara's clan itself. Inside, glowing lines of alien script pulsed with power. In the center, a pedestal waited. Jara took out a small blood-red crystal. The last of my family line, she said. It responds to heart, not strength. She handed it to Jace. Wait. Me? He asked. She nodded. You proved more than strength, more than survival. You showed something greater, choice. You chose to fight for someone you didn't owe. That's what my people forgot. Jace stepped forward and placed the crystal into the pedestal. For a moment, nothing. Then the mountain shook. A deep hum filled the air. Above, the sky exploded in blue light. One by one, Syndicate warships lost power. Engines died, cannons shut down. Ships began to fall from orbit like broken stars. The alien crowd below roared in triumph, but the temple began to collapse. The energy was too much. Run, Jara shouted. She grabbed Jace's hand and pulled him out as crystals shattered around them. Leary flew ahead fast as lightning. The mountain cracked open. Fire poured from the ground. Jace stumbled. A falling rock struck his shoulder. He slipped. Jara caught him. "Go," he gasped. "Save Leary. I won't leave you," she shouted. He smiled weakly. "You already gave me everything. You gave me a reason to matter." She screamed in rage and pulled him to his feet. Together, they leapt across the crumbling ledge and landed in the sand, just as the mountain behind them exploded in a wave of red and gold light. 3 days later, Jara stood at the top of the new clan circle, wearing ceremonial armor of bone and crystal. Her wounds had healed, but a new light lived in her eyes now. Peace. Jace stood beside her, arm bandaged, smiling like a man who had found home. Leary placed a small flame between them. A clan elder stepped forward. "Jara, of the Lost Queens, what is your vow?" Jara turned to Jace. "I was born for battle, made for war, trained to kill. But you, human, showed me how to live, how to feel again. I give you my vow, not as your warrior, but as your wife. I will fight for you, bleed for you, die for you, and raise strong children with you." The elder turned to Jace. "Human, do you return her vow?" Jace took her hand. "I don't know much about warrior clans or space rituals, but I know love. And I know family. You gave me both. I'll protect you, trust you, and stand beside you until my last breath." The flame turned white. The vow was sealed. The warriors around them let out a deafening cheer. Jara leaned close and whispered, "Now they believe in us." "But I always did." Jace grinned. "Guess I'm bonded for life now." She smirked. "No escape, human." Far above, in the ruins of a crashed Syndicate ship, a flicker of red light blinked. A message transmitted quietly through debris. Phase 1 failed. Activate Phase 2. Begin testing on Earth. But this time the galaxy was no longer unprepared, because one human and one alien queen had already changed everything, forever.